While sifting through a mix of different games, I stumbled across an invitation to the playtest for Starfire Eternal Cycle. The moment that I saw this game, I was immediately hooked. In 2025 alone, I've played plenty of side-scrolling roguelikes, and this is a game that instantly sparked my interest. It's a genre that is often packed with what too many players overlook: fun and engaging gameplay elements from start to finish. Though the playtest content is limited, the potential shines through clearly. I highly recommend you keep an eye out for this game, because it is a game worth watching. Ethereal Fish Studio is a small 6-man team, and unlike many indie teams working on this genre, they've nailed a design that stands out. The game clearly draws inspiration from several titles, most notably games like BlazBlue Entropy Effect. That being, it's fast-paced, full of variety, and gives you the freedom to unleash some downright chaotic combos through its deeper systems and merging mechanics. Movement here is handled through a side-scrolling system that lets your character shift not just left and right, but also between the background and foreground. It feels slick and responsive without that pressure of a constant overwhelming factor. In fact, it's the opposite. A game that is mindless and fun as it is challenging when you want it to be. Offering endlessly satisfying mixes, you can experiment with different builds and push yourself against the higher difficulties. Again, the playtest did not offer a whole lot of content, but with the 3 stages and 2 weapons that are currently available to experiment with, it had just enough to pique my interest and also warrant a review. The trailer seemed a bit deceptive, promising plenty of visual flair with flashy animations woven into the gameplay itself. In reality, the visuals are more stripped down, not bland but minimal, yet still manages to stay engaging throughout even if there aren't currently any fancy cinematics. I would like to say that if Starfire Eternal Cycle leaned into a flashier spectacle fighter, it could definitely pull in a much larger crowd, because nothing beats a mindless flashy fighter. My only real gripe with the playtest was the ranged weapon. On paper, it should open up new playstyles, but in practice, it didn't feel all that compelling unless you stacked multiple projectile skills and upgrades to extend its range and also its attack speed, because by default, it's practically a melee ranged weapon. If we were to compare that to the Thunder Fist, which could shred through anything nearby, the ranged weapon option feels underwhelming. I'd say that if the full release doesn't address the weapon balance, there is a risk that players will gravitate towards one dominant choice and ignore the rest of the game, a common issue with this genre. Balancing weapons is tricky, but here it's going to be essential to offer any lasting replay value, though there isn't anything wrong with sticking to one specific weapon. This is a game that fully excels at being both engaging and also simple. Your only goal here is to have fun and to enjoy yourself, experiment with the builds, and see how far you can push them. Power-ups are randomized, giving you meaningful choices each run. Each successful run proceeds to increase the game's overall difficulty while adding in new and more bosses each and every time. Every stage takes you to a new location, and each location offers different rewards, currency, increased power, more damage, or modifiers that can completely shift your playstyle. The more I played this game, the more I wanted to experiment, and after each run, successful or failure, I got better at chaining heavy, special, and light attacks into wild combos while spending all of the progressionary currencies on new weapons and stats. Multicasting my ultimate or shredding bosses in seconds kept me hooked. I was immediately falling in love with what was currently here. There didn't seem to be any story here, at least not in the playtest. Eternal Cycle is all about throwing you straight into quick, no-nonsense action. It feels like the kind of game you would pick up daily, run a few rounds, and move on with your day feeling satisfied. The designs, the sound effects, music, and boss fights all hit the right notes, which ends up creating a polished yet classic vibe that's really hard to resist. I'm still hoping that the full release brings in new levels, tougher bosses, fresh enemy types, and larger stages to really push that experience further. It's not a game here to waste your time. The playtest for this game should still be available with a full release planned for later this year. It has the potential to stand out as a fast-paced, no-nonsense, just one more run single-player experience, which is perfect for those moments when you've got a little extra time to kill but you still want something satisfying to sink that time into that isn't going to take up your entire day. Either way, whether it gets more content or not outside of more weapons and higher difficulties, I cannot wait to dive deeper into the many builds that it has to offer.